So I think we're pretty much done talking about Kyrie Irving for until the summer. I'm
Nah,
pretty sure. I think we're done.
that's gonna rock. That's gonna rock. You know that they gonna let that man off no hooks.
No, I said
Nah.
we are. I'm not talking about them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we're
No,
pretty
so
much
we gotta
done.
talk about the mystery back surgery
Oh yeah. But that don't got nothing to do with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving didn't.
now.
I was about to say
Ben
something wild.
Simmons
Never mind.
carrying the weight of his own ego.
We gonna see. We definitely gonna see. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, yeah. Sports show. Yeah. Sports show. Yeah. Sports show. We get it on. Yeah. Sports show. Yeah. Sports show. Yeah. Sports show. We get it on. Yeah.
Yerrr.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Yerrr Sports Show. I'm your host, Big Baby, aka the Soul of R&B. And to my right, we have Pete. The parade happens in Manhattan, Risotto, this week. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. I am still stoked. Last night, saw Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm a huge, Marvel fan, comic book fan. Had to be there the night it dropped. Freaking incredible. If you're a Marvel fan, if you've been watching the Marvel Universe for the last 10 plus years, you need to see this movie. It's absolutely incredible. The fan service is great. The movement of the stories is great. It was just absolutely nuts. It was everything the trailers made you think it was going to be, and then some.
That's good. I'm glad because remember you came inside the chat complaining about how tired you was, and you made a life choice to go to an 11 o'clock show, and then you got to be up by like 5 in the morning. So
I'm still dead tired. I'm not gonna walk that back. I'm bone tired right now. It is out here raining disappointment like a Knicks season in full effect.
You mean like the Brooklyn season that just happened?
Yeah. It's out here with that. It's out here with that black and gray skies, like a Brooklyn disappointment in effect. And for those of you who are wondering why the name is what it is, as you know, we have our group chat, and Matt was on a tirade this week talking about how if Brooklyn won a championship, the parade should happen in Brooklyn and not in the Canyon of Heroes, where every New York championship parade has ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, it is tradition for it to be that, for it to be there. But I think Matt's point is maybe we should change tradition at some point. But in order for them to change tradition, the Nets will have to win a championship. And in this current NBA landscape, it's going to be pretty hard with the rest of these teams getting better. So we shall see.
You got my man's, which we're going to talk about in detail today. You got my man's coming back, trying to come back from a whole facial fracture in the third game of the series. Yep. But Ben Simmons couldn't play 15 minutes a night with the back.
Again, we're leaving the Brooklyn Nets out of this. So y'all got nothing to do with the Brooklyn Nets. The only thing we're going to mention is get well soon for Ben Simmons. He had a surgery. And like I said, I'm holding my breath right now because I don't want to, again, be quick to judge, because finding out the mental stuff, then finding out the back stuff, I don't even want to guess with this anymore. Get your back done, get your back fixed, be ready for training camp, and be on the court. That's all I want.
I'm gonna give that man the smoke for the rest of his career. All I'm saying is, I hope that man healthy. Definitely don't want to wish ill on nobody, but I hope he feel a little twinge in his back every time he go for a layup.
Yeah, that's no good for your Nets though. So let's hope.
I didn't want him. I didn't want his bum behind anyway. But moving on.
Moving forward, the NBA playoffs has been really, really interesting. I want to start with the Warriors real quick, and this real aggressive series by both teams. Now, I'm going to say this. I said this in the chat. I'm going to say this again. Draymond Green's foul in game 1 was not a flagrant 2. I can give you the flagrant
No, it was
1.
not. Was not.
But we'll give it a flagrant 2. Dylan Brooks' foul in game 2 was a flagrant 2. He almost damn near got 2 flagrant 2s when he fouled Draymond. And then he fouled GP for no apparent reason. There was no reason why he should have hit a helpless GP in the air after Ja already made the play on the ball. Absolutely no reason.
Right. I was to that man, Ja Morant, who is putting out right now.
Mm-hmm.
That man had a 40-piece and almost 2 10-piece sides in that game. I mean, this Ja Morant is becoming a star in front of everybody's eyes in this playoffs.
Right.
A bona fide star.
He is, but I think that because of the lack of veteran presence, the Warriors are going to overtake them, but it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a dogfight every time. Welcoming in BK Matt, who says parades for NY named teams are in Manhattan, based off the based off the conversation we had. But again, I think Ja Morant has a lot of star power. I think that team, I don't think they're a piece away. I think they're more experience. They need more experience. Like this playoff experience is going to be the best thing for them. If they're able to keep this core of young players together for a while, this would be Warriors light for them.
I feel like if Ja Morant had the opportunity to play on the Grizzlies teams that had players like definitely would have been something to see, because that definitely something he could use. You're 100% right. You know, they don't have that veteran leadership on that team. They don't have that big body. They don't have that player that really strikes fear into the heart of opposing teams. And you know, it is what it is. You know, and listen, Ja's great, but they need more pieces. And they just listen, even with another piece, you can't, I hate to say, you just cannot outgun this Golden State team. They have too much firepower offensively. And you got to remember that Steph and Clay and all of them are still not 100%.
Right. I think this is going to continue to be a very physical series. And what I'm hoping for is that I'm honestly, like, I love playoff basketball. I love 90s style basketball. I don't like, them taking each other out, but I love that the refs are somewhat letting them play. But I'm hoping nobody comes out anything like real significant. Like GP's injury could have been a career short ender. So we don't, like I said, best of wishes to Lil Glove, and if the Warriors make the finals, that's when he'll be back. So
I think they will. I think, the only thing stopping them is probably going to be the Phoenix Suns. I think that's definitely going to be an incredible Western Conference Finals.
Right.
Phoenix and Golden State is definitely going to be an incredible Western Conference Final. And it's just going to be about who can stop who, because you're going to have Steph and Clay probably being Steph and Clay, and you're going to have Draymond Green and Kelvin Looney having to stop DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael Bostic. He said Pete whipping that wheel right now.
Listen, my neighborhood is so hard to find parking. It really is. So when you are able to find a spot, it is legitimately one of those things where, sometimes you got to go into like the smallest of spaces, and I got to make sure that I'm taking care of this, getting in at the right angle, moving in, maneuvering there. So That's why I gotta play the angle game. I gotta play the whip game sometimes.
Yeah, you're over and whipping it like a NASCAR driver. But we're gonna
You
stay
said
on
talk about 90s basketball though.
Yeah.
You want to talk about some 90s basketball. Game 2, Celtics in Milwaukee. Was definitely 90s basketball.
For sure. But for the people who want to hear about the Eastern Conference games, you're gonna have to listen to part 2 because this episode is gonna be broken into 2 different parts. And the next part of the episode, me and the Queen will be talking about the Eastern teams. But staying on the West, Luka and friends are having so much trouble with
friends. What friends?
Luka and the boys are having so much trouble with the Phoenix Suns, and rightfully so. And it's the same reason why I believe Giannis may have some trouble with the Celtics. Right now, neither of the two have a solid number 2 right now. And I'm not downplaying Drew Holiday, but if we're looking at the actual number 2s on Milwaukee, let's say the Milwaukee Bucks number 2 is out. Now, Dallas Mavericks number 2 is up for grabs because Luka doesn't have that second piece. And I believe we spoke about this already. I don't know if it was amongst each other on the show, but Luka doesn't have that second piece.
Yeah, no, I mean, he has Jalen Brunson, who definitely is cooled off in this second round. So that's like the biggest thing. They don't have a solid number 2. I think you are downplaying Drew Holiday. And I'm not going to, Drew Holiday is a solid number 2 player. He's definitely not a number 1, but you're right. Their true number 2 is out. And when you look at what the Celtics have in regards to a 1-2 punch in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who could easily both of them be ones on any team.
Right.
That's the bigger thing. But you look at this Dallas Mavericks team, and it's like it's Luka Doncic and others. And others. And it reminds me a lot. I hate to say it because Luka's nowhere in LeBron's class, so I don't want people to misconstrue this as I'm comparing him directly to LeBron. But I'm saying that this situation that Luka's in reminds me of those early LeBron situations in Cleveland where he was the best player on his team by a long shot.
And you know what? It could get to that point to where Luka is the best player. Well, Luka is the best player on the team, and the team's going to have to make some ultimatums. Or Luka's going to have to make some ultimatums. But that goes back to what we were discussing a few weeks ago and amongst each other, that the players being GMs and everything like that. And, again, something we will definitely discuss moving forward. But
Dallas has an opportunity. They really do. San Antonio, as much as I love Pop, as much as I love that system in San Antonio, they've always been my secret love team. They're not what they used to be. They're still trying to figure themselves out. Dallas has a chance. Houston is definitely nowhere near being a contender. Dallas has a chance if they can get another solid star and continue to fortify that bench and continue to fortify with role players. They have a chance to be a really good team in a Western Conference that really it's the Golden State Warriors, the Phoenix Suns, and an emerging Grizzlies team. I don't want to put the Lakers up there because we don't know what the Lakers are going to be. I don't want to put the Clippers up there because we don't know if this Kawhi Leonard, Paul George experiment is going to continue, and if it does, what it's going to look like. And so based on what we do know with these teams, Dallas has a chance in what I would call probably a weaker version of the Western Conference than we're used to. Because we're used to the Western Conference being the conference that goes 10, 11, 12 teams deep.
Right. But The problem with Dallas, the problem with Luka is Luka also has to get better on defense. If Luka doesn't get better on defense, Luka's going to get torched. Or if Dallas does not get better defenders around Luka, more 3-and-D guys, Luka is going to get torched. Like me and my boys were talking about this about Steph Curry a while ago. Steph Curry is not a great defender, but Steph Curry is a good defender and can get you stops sometimes. Luka has to turn into at least a very good defender.
Yeah, and I mean that's that Euro style of basketball. We've never really seen these Euro guards really play that way with, and I don't want to sit there, Ginobili's not necessarily a Euro guard, right? So, we look at that. Tony Parker was probably the best guard from the European background that played halfway decent defense.
Yes. Yeah.
But then again, Tony was not considered to be the number one guy or wasn't looked at to have the kind of skill set that a Luka has. And at the end of the day, I can also understand Luka not playing too hard on defense because the man is expected to shoulder the entire load offensively for his team. And you end up having to make the sacrifice of, do we want him to be a defensive two-way player and probably not be able to be the offensive star?
But he can't.
No, I don't want to say that he can't, because here's the thing. I think everybody can, and when you have someone who's as skilled as Luka Doncic is, I don't think the word "can't" is in their vocabulary. This isn't like a player
when you're 1 foot slower than your opposition when it comes to he plays the point guard, he plays the guard position. When you're 1 step slower than a lot of your opposition, you catch yourself going up against guards like John Morant, you catch yourself going up against guards like Chris Paul or Devin Booker, who can easily take advantage of you because they have that extra step. Now, where you have James Harden, who fell off a little bit and lost a step, he can probably stay in front of him. So that's what makes it so difficult for a Luka Doncic to be that two-way player, because he does not have that extra step to stay in front of these scoring guards who can, bop and get away from you and then drive into the lane. That's why they kept exposing him on a pick and roll and picking him out. Like if you think back to that game where the Lakers played, they played Dallas. And they interviewed Kuzma, and Kuzma said basically whoever he was guarding, we gave the ball to.
Yeah, but I agree with that 100%. I also think that goes back to what Pete was saying about the international play, because nobody's patting a rock in international play the same way they're playing.
But this is where you got to go to. This is where it goes to the coach. When we had this conversation about Doc Rivers and things like that, this is where it goes on the coach. I would not have Luka Doncic guarding the opposing team's point guard. I wouldn't have Luka Doncic guarding the opposing team's shooting guard if I know that they are more athletic and can get past him. With his size, you could easily put him on a small forward. You can have him play defensively against someone else who he can match up well against and play smaller in other positions. You can easily play a 3-guard lineup where you have your other 2 guards guarding the 1 and the 2, and you have Luka guarding the 3. This was the same situation that Dallas was in with Dirk. Dirk was not out there guarding the centers, and Dirk was the power forward, but for most situations he was the taller man on the floor, because many times he was not taller. He was taller than the center that they did play at the time. But he didn't guard the centers, because the centers that Dirk Nowitzki was going to have to guard were going to body him because of Dirk's size and his frame and his strength, his lack of strength. So what did they do? They had Dirk step out and guard the power forwards, who at that point were not as agile. They didn't have the footwork, and so Dirk could easily outsize them. And Dirk sometimes went off and guarded the 3 just because of his length and his size. He could slow down those shooting small forwards because they couldn't shoot over Dirk. And that's where the coach has to be smart enough to make the defensive game plan and put Luka in the positions where he could be successful.
I hear that, Pete, but in this era now, you have a whole lot of athletic players inside the NBA. You have fives that can dribble the ball and get away and have that extra step, like a Joel Embiid. Whereas you have your players like Dre said, the Euro players like Jokic, who don't have that speed or don't have that athleticism, who literally cannot jump off of a curb. But yeah, they are talented and skill wise, and they're dominant players. But when you match them up against certain players, they're gonna get exposed. Now it sounds easy to do that for a Luka Doncic, but it really isn't when you have the opposition knowing that's gonna be their game plan to hide Luka on the defense. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna call screen and pick and rolls, and I'm gonna make sure I get the switch where Luka is guarding me. And I'm gonna whap that ass. That's just how that goes, and that's pretty much what Chris Paul did.
For real, all I'm doing is I'm looking for any pick and roll set that's gonna get me Luka in it.
Honestly, if they want to do that, Dallas should be playing a zone defense where their defense could rotate and step out and play up against that, because that's what happens when you're talking in college. And you talk about the NBA, especially the older school NBA, and I'm not talking like super old school. I'm talking like even the 2000s, early 2010s.
You know they tried that though, right, Pete?
Right. When you want to hide a player defensively, you play a zone. You play a zone defense, so your defense can rotate and you can continue to move the strong side of the defense. You can have guys step up into double teams, into traps, things like that, and you hide the deficiencies of your man-to-man defense in your zone defense. And I know this because I spent 4 years watching the greatest zone defense in college basketball. And we did not have, at Syracuse University, we did not have some of the greatest on-ball man-to-man defenders. But damn, did we look like a great defensive team, because that zone hit a lot of the man-up deficiencies that a lot of our players have.
So it's hard to compare college zone to NBA zone because
how far did y'all go?
There's no defensive three in the key.
Hold up, Dre. How far did y'all go though?
Every year we were in almost either in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, or at least around the 32. Even with some of our worst teams, we made the Sweet 16. Oh no, we ain't won a championship for a while, but that's
not gonna work.
That's
You do that against that Phoenix team, you're gonna get shot out the building. You do that against the Golden State Warriors team, you're gonna get shot out the building. The zone defense don't work in today's NBA because everybody's in this era of NBA, everybody's a shooter. Yeah. Zone defense is supposed to force you to shoot. Everybody's a shooter in the NBA. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, the way I was
last time. Go ahead, Dre.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the last time a zone defense worked was when the Spurs spanked the Miami Heat in the finals. That was the last time that worked.
Right, and they were playing against two people who can't shoot, and then the rest of the team could only shoot when the ball was given to them by the two people who can't shoot. So, my other thing about playing zone in the NBA, the defensive three in the key kind of negates that, because I can stay at the top of the key and dribble as long as I want. I know I got 24 seconds, but if you're standing there, if you have a big or a linky wing that you can put in the middle of it that's just staying there, I'm gonna be shooting free throws the whole game. But for Phoenix, for Dallas, I think Dallas needs a couple more pieces. They need more 3-and-D. They need a good 3-and-D wing. Like, I can't say like a young version of Trevor Ariza, not actual Trevor Ariza.
Supposed to be Spencer.
Spencer is not a 3-and-D wing.
No, I said it was supposed to be Spencer. That's their number 2 guy, but again, he's not. It's him and Jalen Brunson only show up when Luka's not on the floor, and that doesn't work. But
not so much as a number 2 guy. About concerned him. He does need a number 2, but as far as his others, he needs defenders on the court. Other than that, like Jalen Brunson, come on, I'm shooting over Jalen Brunson, and Spencer Dinwiddie's not the quickest on the feet. He plays defense. Your best.
You want guys. what they need are guys like a Tayshaun Prince, like a Tayshaun Prince, right. They don't. They need guys like a Bruce Bowen, like a classic Trevor Ariza back when he was on the top of his game. Like a
Wesley Matthews, like
Doug
even a
Christie.
KCP, like something.
Give somebody a Doug. Give me a Doug Christie, and you're gonna be set defensively. Like, we forget that a lot of some of the best wing defenders, we watch these guys play, like the people I've mentioned, the Doug Christies, the Bruce Bowens, the Tayshaun Princes of the world. And these were the guys who was like, yeah, they'd probably give you, 7 to 10 points a game, but you could put them on the best wing on the floor and know that you were able to slow that person down. If not,
Marcus Smart.
Mitigate. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
And help mitigate that player.
And Patrick Bev, who I feel like don't get enough credit. He's so much a villain. Pat Bev has always been my favorite player on that Clippers team. And that's because the energy that he has and the culture that he brings. I love what he did to that Timberwolves team. Yeah. And I feel like he's now going to get the credit that he deserved. And it's a beautiful thing. Like him by himself changed the whole culture of that whole goddamn Timberwolves team. And that's a beautiful thing.
But Jimmy Butler did the same thing. Like, and Cat got soft. The only difference is that Cat learned
Cat's
from
still soft.
He's still Big Cat reminds me of the dude that now feels like he's gangster because he has gangster people on his team that's going to talk and be about it for him.
Yeah,
like when he was talking crazy. Yeah, we got to go to Minnesota, and then they got dropped off in Minnesota.
That nigga is applesauce, bro. He's mad sore.
And
but I ain't gonna hold you. That was the best series in this whole playoff so far.
But I think this Warriors and Memphis series is definitely getting to that point.
Because Steph is talking shit. Can you believe it? Steph is talking shit. I love it.
Steph is talking shit because Ja over here doing the gritty every chance he get. And then, like I said, earlier when you weren't on, it's a super aggressive series.
I love it. I love it.
My only thing is people need to realize that we're not out here to hurt niggas. Like we out here to make a statement, but like the GP thing is like that. That
was OD.
Yeah, that bothered me. Like Draymond foul was a flagrant one.
It was a flagrant
barely a flagrant one.
It was a hard foul.
If you're gonna give a swipe on the head, whatever, flagrant one. Okay, that's what the rules are. Don't swipe for the head. Cool. But man, Dylan Brooks lucky he didn't get
back.
Yeah, bro. He lucky he didn't get 2 flagrant fouls because he fouled Draymond and Draymond had stitches.
Truth be told, he lucky that he ain't come up against a player that didn't give a fuck about nothing that was about that shit.
He is lucky he didn't run up.
It wasn't Rasheed Wallace.
He lucky he run up against a Draymond with 0 flagrant fouls.
That or Rasheed Wallace who don't give a fuck about nothing.
Or Ben Wallace who's gonna get his on the low, or Ron Artest who's just gonna go out and get it.
Fuck you, fuck this play. I'll charge it to my psychiatrist.
Yeah, charge it to my psychiatrist. So the next thing we're speaking about, and I'm gonna speak about this with Tay as well. Joel Embid. This drops on Monday, so by the time he comes back,
he'll come back tonight.
Yeah, he comes back tonight. So
tomorrow, right?
No, the game is tonight.
Yeah, game three is tonight. He is listed as doubtful as of the last injury report. There's a
notification. He's available. He's playing.
Okay, so they've upgraded him. So I know the injury, the first injury report came out like a little after their morning shoot around, right around noon, and it said that he was upgraded to doubtful. So it looks like he has passed the concussion protocol, and they've cleared him to play for tonight's game.
So the thing about it is we can only make assumptions about how this is going to go, but my thing about Miami,
Kyle Lowry cleared to play too.
Yeah, my thing about Miami and in this Philadelphia series, again, we're just touching on it because we're gonna get on East Coast stuff the next episode. But my biggest thing with this Miami series is that if Joel Embiid isn't what Philly needs him to be, you're gonna cough it up. The series is gonna be over because James Harden has not scored over 25 points in any of these playoff games.
That's why I said that lost the trade. Sticking to that. I'm sticking to that. I'm sorry.
But like I said,
it's on the fence until we figure out how Ben Simmons is going to be.
Right now, the trade is a wash.
Yeah, the
trade is a wash right now.
It can go either way.
Right, the trade is a wash. Miami's going to finish up.
I think
Philly for sure. Right.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like Miami has let Philly be for as decimated as Philly was games 1 and game 2. I feel like Miami's let them play too close. You know, you're talking about, what is it? They average 15 points.
I'll give you all.
Well, no,
win on the scrimmage.
It was 16. I think it was 16 in game 1, 14. No, 16 in game 2, 14 in game 1. Mm-hmm. So you're beating them by an average of 15 points. But for a team that does not have its best defensive and offensive option, it's number one on both sides of the court, and by a long shot, the number one. You know, I'm surprised that they've even been within, 15 points of, 15 to 20 points of the game, and they've had the lead. There was a long stretch in game 2 where it looked like Philly might be able to pull one out and steal one, and then Miami finally, turned it on and realized, oh, wait, we're playing against a subpar team. Honestly, I can see Joel Embiid coming back, having an effect on Philly. I don't know. We don't know what Embiid is going to be offensively, defensively. We don't know how many minutes he's going to be allowed to play, if he's on any restrictions, or anything. But I can see him having a Willis Reed-like effect on this Philadelphia team, where I could easily see them coming back, winning a game, maybe winning 2, and pushing this further than a sweep.
Yeah, it's going to go 5 games. I don't think it's going to go past 5 games. Though. Philly's going to get 1. Just 1. It might even be tonight. Philly will get 1 off the energy and emotion of Joel Embiid coming back. But then it all falls down after that. Because at the end of the day, Joel Embiid cannot beat the Miami Heat by himself. The only thing Philly can do is take advantage of them lapses where Miami can't score, because they have that every fucking game for some reason, where they just can't score. They had
that in the finals too.
That's what I'm saying. They're the most talented defensive team. Yeah, they don't have a superstar, but they have talent around them in that franchise, and they're well coached to where they're going to see you at the end, but they just don't have that go-to scorer. They don't have that killer. Don't get me wrong, Jimmy Butler is that guy, but we know that there's times where he appears lackluster. So if Philly could stay in the game towards the end, they have a shot. But if they keep getting in these games where they get blown out and the bench has to make a run because, Miami done emptied their bench and just, was like, fuck it, we're going to let them rest because Jimmy Butler's hurt, PJ Tucker's hurt, Kyle Lowry's hurt, so we're just going to let them rest because we preparing for Milwaukee or Boston. Like, they're going to have problems because they can't keep having these games where they're going to run that into those lapses where they can't score. Because if you go against that Boston team, you're going to get smoked. If you go against that Milwaukee team and Giannis gets free, you're going to get smoked. Because Drew Holiday can score, Bobby Portis can score, Pat McConnell, he can score. It's like Brook Lopez. If he's open down there on towards the end on the wing, he can drain threes and they can make runs.
Man, Pete falling asleep.
Nigga, I'm just as tired as you is, Roy. I ain't gonna hold you. But yeah, man, like Miami.
My car is comfortable. I will tell you.
Miami scares me because of those lapses where they don't score.
Yes, that's my biggest.
You can't
thing.
have that in the playoffs. You cannot.
Yeah, and that was my biggest thing in the finals too. Like Like Jimmy Butler at one point in time wasn't aggressive enough, but also he ran out of fuel with having to play by himself for most of the series. But I also think that with Tyler Hero being who he is now and coming into his own, I can only and Strauss, I can only hope that these players consistently play like that so that a Jimmy Butler can still go for his 25 points, and he can still get that firepower from the others. So that's the only thing we're gonna wait and see. But it's that time again, y'all. The state of wrestling. the very state of wrestling. So, did anybody watch anything wrestling related this week?
I saw Raw. I saw a little bit of Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
I got aggravated with Dynamite. So I was like, this everybody's hype about this Forbidden Door thing, but I'm like, didn't they do this when we was in New Orleans or something like that?
Yeah.
Listen, I was looking forward to one thing this whole week, and that was the Ring of Honor Women's Championship unification match between Mercedes Martinez and Deonna Purrazzo. People who know me and see me in this business and know about me know that I first of all, I know both of these women. Deonna from Jersey. I remember when she was breaking out onto the scene and she was doing a lot of the regular local indie shows in Jersey and things like that. And to see her growth into what she's become nowadays, being the virtuosa, being the Impact Knockouts champion for a long time, no longer being the Ring of Honor Women's champion, being the AAA Reinas champion for as long as she was. It's been an incredible journey for Deonna. But an equally as incredible journey, 20 plus years for Mercedes Martinez, who has busted her ass as a trailblazer in this business, making opportunities everywhere she goes, and getting this shot at AEW and now Ring of Honor to become the interim women's champion. And then this past Wednesday night on Dynamite, becoming the unified and undisputed Ring of Honor Women's Champion is just an incredible sight to see for everything she has sacrificed and put herself through and put on the line for this business. And she could have easily walked away with some of the frustrations that she's had, and she chose not to because she knew what she wanted to do and what she felt she was worth. And this Ring of Honor Women's division, I don't know what it's going to look like, but they've got one hell of a hill to climb with Mercedes Martinez as the women's champion.
Absolutely. Staying on Dynamite and AEW as a whole, Jade Cargill, what I'm seeing about Jade, she's starting to show her what is that word that we say she may have some crossover appeal.
Oh,
she may start to have some crossover appeal.
She been had that.
But I'm saying with the introduction to the baddie section, and again, shouts to Wilkins, myself.
The biddies.
Yeah, we came up with that. The biddies. That was us. We did that. That was us. So we don't want we don't want nothing from it. Just say you got that from us. But shouts to Miss Jade Cargill. One match.
It's gonna be interesting though, Dre, to talk about Jade real quick.
Yeah,
you're not wrong to say that she has crossover appeal, or I would say you're wrong in saying it looks like she does. No, she definitely has crossover appeal.
I think it's growing more. She has it, but I didn't see I saw it, but I didn't really completely see the vision of what they were trying to do with her. So that's why I'm like,
Well, here's why. Here's why. I think she definitively has crossover appeal. Definitively is a someone who can be a crossover person. We're talking about the world of fitness. We're talking about just the world of Black woman culture, right? Which is its own sphere of influence by itself. Not only just being a Black icon as a performer and as a talent, but just being a Black icon for Black women. Right, that's a big thing in the fitness world. That the crossover appeal in the fitness world, obviously, with her physique and the way that she takes care of her body, For mothers being a mother in this business to, so being a crossover, having crossover appeal there, and also having crossover appeal in the world of geek culture. She's a very big cosplay enthusiast. This is a woman that you can probably see them putting front and center at Comic-Cons and doing things like that. And I do see the possibility of maybe even some acting possibilities, whether it be as an action star or something like that, as a woman. I think these are all possibilities. But the difference is going to be, at the end of the day, like it or not, and I know all the AEW stands are going to get mad at me for this.
Fuck 'em.
The machine that the WWE has is just that. It's a fucking machine. It's a well-oiled machine. They know what they're doing, and they have the connections. Now, AEW can get these connections. They can work towards doing everything they have to do to get Jade Cargill to that point. But understand the head start that the WWE has in that department, and you need to respect it, because they've been able to take guys like John Cena, guys like The Rock, and turn them into crossover stars. You have guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who has found a way to be a crossover star in his own right, not like The Rock or Cena or people like that. And let's go back even further than that. Before they even had the machine they had now, you had guys like Roddy Piper, like Jesse the Body Ventura, who were able to be crossover stars. And the WWE did this as far back as WrestleMania 1, when they understood bringing celebrities in, bringing people from pop culture, from mainstream culture and what's going on in the mainstream into WrestleManias and doing what they do. I think Jade Cargill has everything that you could physically, mentally have as a singular person to be a crossover star. The question is going to be whether or not the AEW machine knows how to effectively promote her as such and put her in a position to capitalize on the opportunities that she could possibly have. That's going to be the biggest thing, because anybody who's paying attention in the world of professional wrestling the last couple of days saw the alert that probably went out about the partnership happening between Fenty and Bianca Belair. Okay, that's the kind of connections that the WWE machine has. They can just pull out and do. The question is going to be, can AEW make similar, not the same, but similar moves as they grow as a company? Again, I'm not bashing AEW, but I am telling people, also understand we have to temper our expectations because of where AEW is in their development as a company.
Agreed. Nothing more I can really add to that. So, Matt.
What's up? Shit hurting my eyes. I'm trying to watch hockey. This shit hurting my eyes. I can't see shit.
Yo, there is nothing like playoff hockey. Do you know this? Do you know that in playoff hockey, when you go to overtime in playoff hockey, there is no break. They go non-stop in playoff hockey. They have maybe one break, I think, which is like the first time they kind of like clean the ice for a couple of minutes in that overtime. But it is just non-stop, back and forth, and literally in the blink of an eye, the game could be over. I am not the biggest hockey fan in the world. My cousins were. I did watch hockey with them when I was younger. But there is honestly, I don't care what you say about basketball, football, baseball, there is nothing as intense and as riveting, honestly, as overtime in playoff hockey.
I don't see no black people.
It's like one or two, but it's like one or two, Matt. But Matt, what are your thoughts on this week in wrestling, and as we head to WrestleMania Backlash?
What are my thoughts?
What are your thoughts on the card?
I tell you the truth, I haven't even seen the card. All I know is Cody and Seth, I don't even know who fucking Bianca's going against. Who is she going against?
I don't. Let me see.
I know she ain't going against Becky because Oscar just came back. Shout out to Oscar. I was happy to see her.
Oh man,
I was very happy to see.
I was
Oscar
so
back.
excited to see her.
I heard about the releases.
I was waiting for Bailey to come back.
I heard about the release of Dakota Kai. That shocked me.
That shocked a lot of people.
I was more shocked by Persia Parada, aka Steph DeLander, who was paired with Indy Hartwell down in NXT, and the whole Dexter Loomis storyline.
That shit threw me off. I like Dexter.
And listen, mad respect, because say what you want, NXT took the man formerly known as Samuel Shaw, and was able to do so much more with and elevate that character more than Impact was ever able to do, and things like that. Like when you talk about taking a character that I could care, and Sam Shaw, great wrestler, great in the ring, his mannerism, psychology, great. But I didn't give a crap about that character until NXT got their teeth into it.
Yeah, he reminded me of like the new age Heidenreich. Remember him?
Yeah,
he was like the new age Heidenreich. He was so hilarious. Especially him with Gargano.
Yeah,
they were hilarious.
He did give me Heidenreich vibes. Remember when he was showing him the condoms? He was like,
still one of the greatest segments is during the wedding when you just flash the hatchet.
Yeah.
Like, anybody got something to say? I got the hatchet on me, ready to go. Big shout out though to Malcolm Bivens. That man's gonna land on his feet no matter what. Yeah. I think a lot of these people that
man's only got 30, bro. Malcolm Bivens, they 30 with they 31 12-01. That man gonna be someplace.
Yeah, I think everybody who was released, with the exception of maybe Parker, because I don't know if his heart is really into this. And I don't want to speak ill about the man, but Steph DeLander's 25 years old. She's one of the 3 big stars that came out of that Aussie system. I mean, literally, when I tell you they stacked them up and shipped them out, it went Rhea Ripley, Indy Hartwell, Steph DeLander. That was literally the progression of stars out of Australia. Steph DeLander is going to land on her feet somewhere and be a star. I think Dakota is going to land on her feet somewhere. Can be a definite, improvement. Oh, definitely an AEW or Impact. Could be a
Dakota,
great.
I want to see her in Japan.
Yeah, she could be a great pickup for any women's division. I think Sam Shaw now with his character after doing what he did in NXT is going to be a very big pickup for anybody. And Bivens, like we said, and then with the information today that the new mommy on the block. I mean, she's been a couple of months now, but Candice LeRae now being a free agent. First of all, I know she's having a great time. Her and Johnny being mommy and dad. Being a great time with Quill. I wouldn't be surprised to see Candice take some time off and be a mommy. But it'd be good to see where a lot of these people go, because I think a lot of them still have the ability to go places and make some waves. But what I
don't like about free agency when it comes to wrestling is that everybody assumes everybody's going to AEW, and
I hope it doesn't happen like that. Like I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm looking at NXT like how we all looked at the Attitude Era, some of us the Ruthless Aggression Era. It's just like you didn't want to see it end, and then when it ended, it was just like, now what now? Like, don't get me wrong, I like 2.0 to a degree, but I'm gonna always have that feeling like the Gold and Black was so much better. It was just the time. Like the first 3 NXT takeovers in Brooklyn, it was like TakeOver was the place to be, and it doesn't have that same vibe no more. And it's just I'm
gonna say something that's gonna be controversial, right? It's gonna be somewhat controversial, but rock with me with it, right?
Yeah.
What NXT was doing is what AEW wanted to do. And what I mean by that is the fact that NXT was a lot of the place where first it was a development system, but it basically became a third brand because most of the top independent stars
started coming over.
anybody who was on the on the independent scene, was there. AEW wants to do that to the same extent. And this is why the reason why I keep comparing them to WCW. Why you keep taking the leftovers from.
They're doing it so badly.
Yeah. Like,
I didn't want to say it because I know how Pete feels about AEW. It's just, I just like it kills me to look at Toni Storm and just be like, yo, she does not fit in. I'm looking at her with Ruby Riott, and I'm just like, yo, this shit looks so washed right now.
No, but
I was trying so hard to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong, Matt. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But here's the thing, though. AEW's smart in how they do it. They understand, listen, the AEW fan base, for better or for worse.
Bunch of virgins.
They are, well, no, but they are to a degree the anything but WWE crowd. They are the super indie crowd. They are the PWG crowd.
They are the super indies.
They are the tape traders. They are the ones who will sit there and reference a match from DDT Pro back in 2004. They are those. And the fact of the matter is, they're going to love the fact. Listen, there are a lot of people on social media. There are a lot of people on Twitter. There are a lot of people in the wrestling world who have made some very salient and poignant points when they say that there are people in AEW that are in exactly the same position that they were in WWE, but you don't see them complaining in AEW, or you don't see the fans complaining about it in AEW. And here's why. One, with AEW, a lot of the fans are just happy that their people are not in WWE. That's there right then and there, right? It's just like, we don't trust the WWE to... it's like, I don't trust them to take care of my kid, right? They look at it as, this is ours. We have this ownership around it, and we don't trust the WWE to show it the respect that we feel it deserves. Now, for better or for worse, the WWE formula is what it is. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't work. It's not always on the it's not always the fault of the WWE. Sometimes it's the fault of the talent. It is what it is. But a lot of that fan base is just sitting there just like, we're just glad they're not in WWE. But also, and this goes back to something we spoke about, Matt, and we had a little bit of a back and forth about sports in general. When we were talking about the whole Gary Payton thing, we were talking about, would you rather sign the big contract and go somewhere and get your bag?
Yeah.
Or would you rather take less money and stay in Golden State? Yeah. And the same logic applies, honestly, right now with this whole WWE, AEW back and forth.
Ooh, I got a rebuttal.
At the end of the day, you get the question is, here's the question. Do you want to do your money? Do you want to make your money, or do you want to do your art? Right? Mm-hmm. And there are some people who are, I want the bag. I want the money. I'm okay if I get one match a week on Main Event. I'm okay if I'm sitting in catering. I'm making my money. I'm getting my bag. They're fine with that. Yeah. There are other talent who are not happy about that. And they're like, you know what? You could offer to pay me X amount of money. It doesn't matter. I want to do my art. I want to do it this way. And so they're willing to go to a place that, we'll pay them still decent money, but not what they were going to get somewhere else. They're going to be able to do what they feel happy doing, their art. That fan base is going to accept it and love it because it is what it is, and that's what they want to see. Mm-hmm. And they could be in the exact same position getting one match a week, but they just internally, for whatever reason, feel better about it being there than over there. And I can't listen. I'm not a professional wrestler. You've been there, Matt. You've been on the road. You've been, you've trained. You've done that. I've been in the ring. I've trained. I've bumped around, but I've never lived the life, right? So I can't speak to their mindset, but I can understand the idea of, do I want to do my art, or do I want to do my money work? And there are some people who want to do the money work, and there are some people who want to do the art. There are some people who think they want to do the money work, but they really want to do the art. So they go take the money and then realize, don't really want to be here, not happy. So they go back. And there's going to be people who are like, all right, I'm done. Like, honestly, Shinsuke Nakamura, that man is doing his money work. He did his art for as many years as he did in Japan, the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
That man did his art. Finn Balor, he did his art in Europe and in Japan. They are doing their money work. And they are still doing great things, regardless of what fans want to think. Okay, they are still doing great things, but they are happy with the situations they're in. And there are going to be people in the WWE that are just like, you know what? I'm making this money, but am I happy? And if you're not happy, go where you're happy. Go where you're happy.
But that's what you kind of see. You prove my point to a degree. Now, when we were discussing the Gary Payton Jr. thing, Gary Payton Jr. and for the better part of Jordan Poole too. Remember, they had to battle just to get into the league. So it's like to get that big contract is different. It's not guaranteed that they're going to get it. We just saw what happened to Gary Payton Jr. Granted, he'll be back within a month. God willing that the Warriors get past Memphis, he'll be ready for the finals or whatever the case may be. But that injury could have stopped him from getting a good contract. You get what I'm saying? So I hear the whole art thing, and it works with wrestling. Why? Because your art is your name to a degree, right? So you have some of the greatest wrestlers who never have ever been seen on WWE TV. So if they've been battle tested for like 10 to 12 years, and then they finally get that recognition from WWE, they're gonna take it because look, I get to plant my flag here and make whatever money I can make. And if it don't work out, I got the notoriety and the namesake to go make more money elsewhere. Right. So it's kind of different with that aspect when it comes to wrestling. Whereas in an NBA, you got your DeMarcus Cousins who had the big contract, kept getting hurt, and now is signing nothing but 1-year deals where he's not getting on that contract.
And the environment don't work for anybody. We've all seen it. How many players have come to play in New York for the New York Yankees or for the New York Knicks and played on the big stage and just can't hack it, right? Yeah. It happens, right? There are some people that it doesn't work for them. And we've seen that with some of the people that we've seen come into the WWE in the current recent years that are now in AEW, where it's just like, hey, they wanted to be there. They thought they had what it took, but hey, it wasn't for them. It wasn't the right environment for them. It wasn't the right fit for them, whatever it may be. And now they're out and they're doing what, but then again, look at Cody Rhodes. Cody left to go do his art. He left to go do what his heart wanted him to do. Mm-hmm. And then he said, you know what? It's time for me to go back. It's time for me to go and take this to another level. And his perception of what he wanted out of the business changed. And there are going to be people who do that. We've seen that with people who've gone from WCW to WWE, back to WC, back to here, go back to the Indies. The business is so much different, right? Where it's like you can go to WWE, you can do what you need to do there, and you can retire on that. And you will always be forever known as a WWE superstar. And at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says, that means something. To have performed on that stage, to have performed at a WrestleMania, whether you're the first match, the pre-show match, the third match on the card, or the main event, it freaking means something to have done that, right? To some people, it may not mean as much to them. To some people, Japan is where it's at. That's the dream for them, right? I knew a guy who, and all of us knew him, a young man who passed away way too soon, tragically, Matt Travis, who wrestled here in the New York City area, right? That kid, when you talk to him, when you talk to Matt Travis, he said to him, where his heart was, where his dream was, it wasn't the WWE. It was Japan. That was his stage. That was his top of the world.
That's a lot of wrestlers, though. Right. That was a lot of wrestlers.
That was the top of his ladder.
Like Joey Ace when me and him started wrestling. And Shout out to Joey. That's like that's my best friend. Known him since I was like 15. He put me on the New Japan and Old Japan. So he put me on more or less to the indies and the tape trading thing. All I knew was ECW, WCW, and WWE when I was 15. And then he opened that whole realm of world to me. And then, I started to see the Hayabusas of the world. And then, I started looking like maybe I could go to Japan till I saw the way how hard they was hitting people. I'm like, the last thing I need to do is get locked up in Japan. So yeah. But so it's like he'll tell you his biggest. Yeah, of course. The ultimate dream is to go to WWE because shit, that's where the money is. That's where the mainstream attention is. We all grew up in the Attitude Era and the golden era of WWE, right? So, but everybody wanted to sink their teeth in Japan or AAA. So a lot of the wrestlers from the era where I was in the independents, all they wanted to do was go to Japan. Where I'm like, I'm not going to Japan. I'm not living off McDonald's. It's not happening. But that was their dream. That's what they want. Because WWE seems so far in the realm of possibility of going there because we're all like 5'6", 5'7". Yeah. Where that's the land of the giants. Everybody has to be like 6'5" and 300 fucking pounds.
At that time, too, when you were wrestling, Matt, too, like it's only been literally almost only a 10-year hangover from ECW, less than 10 years hangover from ECW. So a lot of these wrestlers, when ECW folded, I think that took a lot of people's, options away. I'm not even talking about WCW because, at the end of the day, WCW from 2000 to the end of its time was no place anybody really wants to go.
But I mean, look at somebody like Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson came to the New York Yankees when he did. Was he successful in? Randy Johnson.
Yeah, I was like,
played for the New York Yankees. Kevin Brown played for the New York Yankees, and most Yankee fans will want to kill somebody when they hear the name Kevin Brown, and I get it. I was there. I was one of them. But you look at guys like Kevin Brown. You look at guys like Randy Johnson. You look at some of these players who have come through for the Yankees, and they performed horribly. They did not live up to the reputation that they'd had as players in a Yankee uniform. Does that mean that Kevin Brown was not one of the best pitchers in baseball for as long as he was? No, he just couldn't hack it in New York. Was Randy Johnson not a Hall of Fame pitcher? No, he still is. He just couldn't hack it in New York. Just because someone cannot make it to the top of WWE, just because someone doesn't make it to the main roster or make it to the top of the food chain in WWE, doesn't mean they still can't be considered one of the best wrestlers in the world.
The thing is, people are not realizing getting in to WWE, passing a tryout is enough to be like, yo, you were that good to pass a tryout and potentially be on NXT? Because people
talk about that. Go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry.
People live off that. Remember when it was Tough Enough? And people got on Tough Enough, and then people were garbage on Tough Enough, and then they were running around being garbage on the indies, but because they were on Tough Enough,
bro. Pete, I don't know if you remember. I don't even know if you remember Bill Carr. Remember Bill Carr?
Yep.
He was in FCW he was around that era when I was in the independents. He was the one dude from our era that made it past the tryout and got into FCW, and he was out there for a long period of time. He just recently, I want to say like a decade ago, started coming back up here and wrestling. I don't know if he still does.
I don't know if he still does, but I know him and Dan Barry were Team Tremendous for a while on the Indies.
Yeah. So I mean, but that was his namesake because he was the one that got the WWE contract.
People talk about
what y'all were saying. Literally, like you can go to the E and make a name for being an enhancement talent. Look at the Bollywood boys. The Bollywood boys are running up and down the indies right now because they were Jinder's lackeys.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're actually really good wrestlers.
Oh, no, they're incredible wrestlers.
Yeah, they're really, really good wrestlers. But nobody would have known because they were getting tossed around all week. I mean, every week.
Shout out to the Maharaja.
Right, but it's like what y'all was saying. You got to get in where you fit in, and just having the name WWE attached to you gives you so much more layers to your wrestling career. Like but like there's a couple people that there's people there's what is his name? You had him on your first show, Pete.
Anthony Green.
Anthony Green. Not many people knew who Anthony Green was. If you watch 205 Live, you knew who Anthony Green was. If you watch a little bit of NXT, you knew who Anthony Green was. But he made his name. He was there. That name draws people. Who else? What's his name? Who was on Tough Enough? Who's now and he wrestles all the time. I forget his name. I forget his name. I know his name.
Well, I barely watched.
He was in Lucha. He was in Lucha Underground too, and he was on your show as well.
Oh, Matt Cross, M-Dog. M-Dog,
yes,
Matt Cross.
M-Dog, Matt Cross. Matt Cross was on Tough Enough.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but Matt was able to build his career,
right,
for a while. But you know what's funny is people always use the, big fish in a small pond, small fish in a big pond metaphors when it comes to wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, newsflash, the WWE is not a pond. It's a freaking ocean. And at the end of the day, you could still be a huge fish and still hide in the WWE ocean. I don't know if y'all know this. I'm not talking to y'all two, but like there are species of fish and marine life that are huge that you never see in the ocean because it's just so big of an ocean. The WWE is the same way. You could still be a big fish, and it's just that ocean is so vast and so big that it doesn't matter how big of a fish you are. You're still swimming in an ocean that's 1,000 times bigger than anything. And
locking Philly up now.
And that's the thing. I mean, there are some great stars, like Matt said, who have never stepped foot in the WWE. Mm-hmm. There are some great stars in this business who, were in the WWE for a cup of coffee. There are some great stars. Listen, Chris Candido, is one of the best professional wrestlers you could have ever watched in your life.
That was just a shitty hand he was dealt.
Yeah, and most people, if you tell people, if I go to a wrestling fan and I'm like, yo, would you make Skip of the Body Donnas your world heavyweight champion?
Shout out to Tom Pritchett.
Yeah, people would think that I was the craziest person in the world. But you go to a wrestling fan who knows the name Chris Candido, and they will sit there and give you a dissertation as to why Chris Candido could have been a world heavyweight champion. Guys like Steve Carino.
Shane Douglas could have been a world champion and anywhere but WCW. He's
a cool dude. You ever met him in person? He's funny as shit. Shane Douglas had me dying last time I saw him.
But there's people like that. Like there's people who were marketable but not marketable to the WWE for whatever reason. It's their reasons. My issue is,
and the gimmicks are marketable.
Yeah, the gimmicks is always marketable.
Ted DiBiase, if you ever watch Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, Ted DiBiase used to have some of the most brutal matches, some of the most brutal cage matches. Ted DiBiase was, one of the best wrestlers on the territory scene. Goes to WWE and becomes the gimmick of the $1 Million Man. Listen, that man
gimmick saved his whole life.
Right, and at the
barely
end of the
had
day,
any matches.
Talk about how it's silly, it's a gimmick, whatever. That gimmick will last him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, even though he owed the government money, but yes, it will last him the rest of his life. Him and his son. Well, his son about to start wrestling again because he owed the government.
I thought his son was an IRS worker or some shit like that. Or
no,
a tax returner. I don't know.
That nigga stole taxes.
That was his tag team partner. That was the IRS.
Yeah, that was But guys, really, really, really good episode. Really good episode.
Hold on. We gotta give a shout out to somebody. I want to give a shout out to JJ Reddick for putting Magdal Russo and Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp in their place.
Oh yeah.
We need We need people like you in the media that put these people in their place for saying blasphemous shit, like saying Draymond Green needs to shut up and play.
Oh,
You
yeah.
should be ashamed of your damn self.
Oh,
Shout
yeah.
out to JJ Redick, man.
Oh,
Spoke
yeah.
that truth.
Oh,
Spoke
yeah.
that gospel.
JJ Redick held it down. And people, so the thing about that, people were like, oh, Stephen A. Smith was shutting up. No, Stephen A. Smith let the player defend the player. And then JJ Redick was like, you know what? You racist as well. so JJ Redick held it down. Like I said, people were like, oh, Stephen A. Smith, yes, he has some moments where it's like, come on, bro. But
especially talk about Kyrie.
Yeah, when it comes to Kyrie, he real 50-50 with me. But when it comes to this, nobody needed to hear Stephen A. say anything about this. You need another player to defend another player. And then people are like, oh, Stephen A. don't defend black people. Like,
bro, Randall Russo. Yeah, he's
Randall Russo reminds me of like the racist white guy that doesn't want to come off as racist, but he is racist. So, but
that shit was just shut up and play. The world is tired of hearing Draymond. I listen to that man podcast every week. I don't know what the fuck he talking about.
Right. I was telling my boy, I was on the phone with him today. I was like, listen, I didn't ask for a Draymond Green podcast. And it's not like I woke up in the morning and be like, you know what? I want to hear Draymond speak every week. No, nobody does that. But when Draymond speaks, he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
So I don't mind listening to Draymond Green speak about stuff. Now, if it's Chris Webber, then no, I'm just not listening to the podcast.
Nah, you say Chris Webber. If it's fucking Kendrick Perkins half the time, I don't even
No. Listen, I can't listen. Remember when Chris Webber was on 2K, I was just like, oh, bro, I gotta cut this shit off.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But yeah, we'll
shout out to
JJ
Redick.
Definitely shout out to JJ Redick. We're definitely getting more into that on part 2 of episode 103 when me and the Queen discuss a few things.
Oh, she gonna go off.
Oh, she will. And I
don't even think she heard the clip. If she would have heard that clip, she would have went off. Because it really
put the clip in the chat. Put the clip in the chat.
It came off racist as fuck. When I heard it live, I was like, yo, this motherfucker is. What is he talking about?
Yo,
we grew up on Mad Dog Russo. He was on the Yes Network. I grew up on Mad Dog Russo.
Right. Like finding out people racist without them really saying it, but they really said it. I think it's racist as hell. But as I said, put the clip in the chat. Let's listen to it, so she can turn up. But guys, very special thanks to Job Chase Network, of course. All the shows on the Job Chase Network. Don't need to name them. Viewing party going down this Sunday. After you spend time with your mother, or bring your mother to Legends, either or, do your thing.
The mother of my kids, we going to work.
Yeah, I feel shout outs to Invictus Pro Wrestling, which we are one of the sponsors of their next show on May 20th called Takeover versus Shane Taylor Promotions. We are sponsoring Shane Taylor's Promotions, Reverend Ron Hunt, as he goes against Mr. Jay Bougie, who's been talking crazy to me online, but it's all good. I'm going to see him when I see him. Shout outs to...
There go that drought we was just talking about.
Huh?
There go that drought we was just talking about. They can't score nothing.
Shout out to We Are Wrestling, their show on the 22nd. One step closer, we are sponsoring the battle of Trish Adora versus the big bad kaiju, O'Shea Edwards. And to be honest, again, I was talking, I'm making jokes about it. But this is a main event caliber match. And again, thank you Pete for us to being a part of it. We're definitely gonna be
big shout out to the Java Tears podcast. We just announced today that they are sponsoring the big tag team match between Fight or Die, Chris Barton and Dominic De Niro, up against Yaya and Rayhan the Power,
formerly known as
Montana
Black.
Yeah.
Hashtag great hitting jump shots. Lord
hashtag Ugly Gang, hashtag The Power, coming to We Are Wrestling, and not to forget the incredible matchup that we announced earlier this week. AEW star Jay Lethal one-on-one with the man that I consider to be the heart and soul of We Are Wrestling, Rob Killjoy. That is going to be an absolutely insane match.
Rob Killjoy is, you know how we look at, a lot of us look at Homicide? Rob Killjoy is not too far off from that.
That's a mental.
I don't think he's too far from that.
Turn over the ball. Here they go. They about to get blown.
Definitely going to get on and watch the game now. But again, for the Queen Tay, for the voice of a generation, Pete Rosado.
James Harden got 11 points. Ain't that about a bitch?
Finally, for a BK Matt, it is your boy, Big Baby, signing off. Peace.